So the easiest way to let go, we've talked about this before, the easiest way to let go in the monastery teachings that it's physical, mental, spiritual. It's easier to let go physically first, then mentally, then spiritually. That's the order. It's difficult to let go mentally, but it's easier to have an experience of what it feels like to let go physically, to actually have an experience of what that is. And I'll explain what I mean. If you do Qigong long enough, you'll get to a stage one day when you're moving your arms, and your arms will start moving by themselves, and you go, oh, look at that, and your arm's moving and you're not doing it. And you're watching your arm move, and you're not actually having anything to do with it. It's moving by itself. Now, I can say that, but if you never had that experience, it makes it really difficult to try and catch on what that means until you get that experience. And then you'll understand what I just said. Easiest way, actually, there is a way you can do this, have the feel of what this feels like. And so you stand in the door jam, the doorway, and you stand and you put your hands against the door and you push your hands out, the back of your hands in the door, and you push and you push and you push, you push for about a minute, and then you take a step forward and the arms float up by themselves. That's what it feels like. That's the only way I know how to explain what the sensation feels like. They're right and they're moving and you're not doing it. Well, you end up doing Qigong like that, but you're not doing that. You're doing all these movements and the same thing feels like the arms are just floating. And you're not doing it. You've given your arm a decision to do, and it's moving, but you're not actually physically doing that because you let go. You don't need to. That energy will do it for you. And so that's part of it. That's part of the letting go process. So the physical is the easiest one. And the easiest part of the body to let go first is your arm. Believe it or not, the arm's the easiest, not your neck. Let go. You get somebody to hold your neck and move your neck around. You just let them do that. It's not easy. When you get their foot and they move your foot around and reflex on it, you just let the foot go and just flop. That's not easy. The easiest ones to actually let go is your arm. And there's exercises to let the arms go to learn what that feels like. Actually, this afternoon, the monastery class this afternoon, there's an exercise in there which is about letting the arm go, how you do that. And so it's an interesting concept of how that expression, how you learn how to, because once your body knows what letting go feels like, now you've let go physically, now your mind has an idea of what letting go actually is. Otherwise, it's got no term of reference. It doesn't know what you're talking about. It goes, oh, you're letting go. Yeah, I can let go. But it doesn't know what it is until it's actually felt it. So by letting physically go and the arm moving, you go, oh, that's what letting go is. I don't have to do anything. It does it by itself. Yeah, that. And so now the mind goes, oh, okay, so if I let the mind go, I don't have to do anything. Yeah, that's it. Until you have a mind experience of letting the mind go when it stills, you won't know what that is either. You'll have you'll have thoughts about what you think it is. You'll have concepts in your head about what you think letting the mind go feels like. Until you let the mind go, you're not going to know. Until you do, and then you go, oh, that's what stillness in the mind is. Well, I didn't know that. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like anything, but that's what the experience is. The arm, you get to feel that. You get the feel letting go in the arm, but the mind, quiet, you don't necessarily feel it. You experience it. And so once you've got that, then you go physical, mental, you go spiritually. Okay, so I'm going to let go of what I think this is, because this is just thoughts of what it is. And when you let go of the thoughts of what you think this is outside of you, all of a sudden one day you're going to feel connected to it when you don't think of what you think it is. And so that's the hardest one, to let go of this idea, this concept of what you think heaven is. And let go, I'm attaching to heaven, but you're thinking about that. Attaching to heaven is when I don't think of attaching to heaven, and all of a sudden you are attached to heaven when you don't think about it. And that's difficult. That's the process of, well, it's the process inside the monastery school about how to wake up to who we really are, mentally, physically, spiritually, who we are as a human being. And that's the process. But that's a lifetime study. That's not something I'm going to do next week. Oh, that it was that easy. Then they wouldn't call it a spiritual practice, would they? They'd call it something else. You'd just be, oh, I've got it. I go down the road and buy one. That's good. I've done that. Okay, what's next? It's the life. It's a lifetime process. It's got nothing to do with what your mind thinks. Or what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about things, and you're listening to my mind with your mind, and we're talking about things, but it's not this. We're alluding to something out beyond our mind, about an experience beyond mind. And we're talking about something you can't explain. It's bizarre. It's just ludicrous. We're talking about something we can't explain. Anyway, you felt this, Kerry. You felt the arm moving. So you try and explain what that feels like. It's impossible. I show people what it looks like because I can do it without even thinking about it. I can do it. And the arm moves by itself, only because I've taught it how to do that. And then I can just watch it do it by itself. And it's the weirdest thing. It's not my arm. It feels like somebody else's arm. It's not mine. But I've learned how to do it, so I know the experience. But to try and help people have that experience is really difficult. Have people have experience of having a mind that's quiet, it's really difficult. Having the idea of feeling that you're part of something and not thinking what you think it is, and actually just being part of it and have the experience without thought. Yeah, that's our practice. That's our practice of being here. And then inside that, who are we energetically inside that once we get to that place? But we've got to practice. We practice letting go everything. It's easy, isn't it, Kerry? Just let go. Let it all go.
Of course it is. What's the problem?
Well, because the whole world teaches you not to do that. The world says you've got to do more, get more, gain more, get more money, get more experience, do that. And this is the exactly opposite direction, do less, do nothing. If you want to know
I've got a friend staying with me at the moment, and she's from America. And when I told her what you were going to be talking about today, she just looked at me and went, "But you've got to be going after things. You know, that's how we've been raised to always be constantly going." And then say, "What?"
Well, that's what we've been taught. Constant achievement, constantly doing things, constant. There's a goal in what you want to achieve. You know, you ask people what's your goal in life, what's your purpose, or not so much purpose, or what's your goal in life? Well, I want to, do well. I want to learn lots of things, make lots of money, have a nice car, house, and boat, experience traveling. Be there for my kids and have a good education, good life. Yeah, and just have fun and learn and grow, and yeah, good. That's all mental. It's all mental. If you ask me what I want to do, is I want to experience my heart. I want to know what my heart experiences in life, which is none of that. I can take my heart into that experience, but my heart's that's just mind fodder. It's things to keep the mind occupied. And my true experience in life's got nothing to do with that. My experience is like what happens when I don't do anything, when I'm sitting in stillness, and what that is. It's like the Matrix. You take a pill for the Matrix. It's like, okay, if you want to know the truth, here's the truth. But do you really want to know? Because when you find out that there's another world that you could live in, that's not the one in the mind. It's another world beyond mind. Then you're going to go, okay, so what's that? And not everybody wants to know that. You can talk to people and just go, oh, it can't be that much fun. It can't be that much fun sitting in the stillness doing nothing and torturing yourself in meditation. It can't be that much fun. You can't get that much from doing nothing. Compare with my house, my boat, my car. Can't be that much fun with all the exciting things I do and the cups of coffee and the alcohol and all the things I do to keep myself having fun and laughter and movies and all that stuff that I do. Can't be as good as that.
They've got no idea, have they?
No, because because you can't experience it to compare it. Unless you do the practice to experience it, then you go, okay, well, there's a whole other thing going on that's way bigger than the other one. But if you don't know that, then you only know one side, and the other one's just a thought of what you think stillness is. What can you get inside stillness? It sounds pretty boring. No, it's not. You have everything inside that place. But I already have everything. They said, no, you don't. You have mind. You have your mind. And there's limitations of the mind. It's limitations. It's like ChatGPT. I'll give that example. Came up. ChatGPT is just extraordinary, and it's getting cleverer and cleverer by the second. And whatever other I use that one as just an example because the other AIs are doing the same thing. You can ask it any question about anything you can think of. You can ask it, and it gives you an answer. And it's just getting more and more evolved. But it's all just head. It's just information. It's just stuff in your head. You can't ask it spiritual questions. You say, what happens when you let go of consciousness? Ask it that question. So I'm just a computer, I don't understand it. No, neither does anybody else, because it's beyond words. You can't describe it. It's beyond words to describe, so you can't have an answer to it. There's no written answer, because there's no experience that you can't write down. The first verse of the Tao Te Ching says, if you can't What if you can explain the eternal Tao, it's not the eternal Tao. It's in a nutshell. First verse. What's to lay it out right from the start? Just want to tell you, you can't describe this. And so that's where we get to that stage where we realize that this world, there's the mind world of that, and then there's the other world that most people won't find, because unless they do some work about letting go the mind world, they're never going to get it. You just can't switch one on, switch the one on, and go, okay, well, I can compare this one with that one. It's not that easy to be able to compare there, because you've got to do a practice to learn what the letting go stillness practice is. You actually got to practice that and put some time and effort into it to break the control the mind has. Well, that sounds like a lot of hard work to get stillness, and what's the point? Stillness seems like a waste of time. So so you've got nothing to compare it with, and you've got to do the work, otherwise you're never going to know. And so you
it took me.
why it's so difficult for people even to find it, because they don't want to do that, because they don't think the result is big enough, because you can't show them what it looks like. You can't give them an experience of what the end product looks like so they can compare the two and go, oh, that's good, I'm going to do that. Well, you can't show them what that is. They can see the mental one, but they can't see the energetic one, because you can't give them an experience of that, because it has to be inside them. I can't give them my experience. There's no use to it. It's just words, more words into your mind. And so how difficult is that?
Yeah, it took me 10 years to be able to meditate. And I was, brought up with the mind being the ultimate. And as a scientist, it was agony for 10 years.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that I did it, because now it's just so beautiful.
Yeah. But to see something inside you, something inside your soul was driving you to want to learn what it was.
Yeah.
If you don't have the inquiry program running in your computer, then you'll settle for the mind world, and you'll think that's okay, and you're fine with that. But if you have an inquiry thinking there's something else, why am I really here? What's the real point of this? Who am I really, energetically, mentally, spiritually? What is this? If you don't have that inquiry, you will never ask, and you definitely won't do the practice, because the practice is difficult, because you're going to beat your mind up inside the thing that you love, that we possess, that we love the most. Our mind is the thing we've got to let go of. The thing that we hang on to, our intellectual property about what we know and what we've learned and all that sort of stuff. And you got to say, well, let all that go, because this thing's nothing, something else has got nothing to do with any of that. Let it all go and find the other piece. But because you can't experience the other piece, you can't have a look at what it looks like. You can't, we've got this house and we've got this other house down the road. Which one would you like? He said, well, I don't know. I'll go down and look at the other house. Oh, yeah, it's a really nice. That's better than one I've got. I'll move houses. But this one is, we've got this house. There's a house down the road, but you can't see it. But it's better than this one. I said, well, how's it better? It just is. Well, can you explain it? No. It's just better. And do you want to go and live in that one? I said, well, I can't go and live in it if I don't even know what it looks like. I said, well, yeah, but it's much better. Can you see why that? Just to go, okay, well, I'm not going to believe you. I don't trust you. I don't trust you, because I'm not giving up this really good house for nothing. So you can see what it is. Unless the person has the inquiry, which you have, the inquiry is there something else? Is there something else in the world that we want to know about that's special? And if you have that inquiry, then you'll do practices to try and find it, because you know there's something else going on. And you won't know what it is. And you'll be intrigued by it, because it's the unknown part of it. See, people that like uncertainty, they like the adventure of the uncertainty, will like it. But if you want certainty in your life, remember, the house down the road, you don't know what it looks like. Can't even describe it. There's no certainty with that. It's uncertainty. That's the adventure, to discover that there could be something else that lives out there. And you get people telling you this, and people have been telling people forever about that house, about trying to describe the house they can't explain, to try and give people a glimpse of it, to encourage people, because they found it, they want to stay the people to have a glimpse of the other house. But you can't describe the house. It's impossible. You can't put it into words. And you hear me talk about all this all the time. It's like, it's so simple. It's like, can you explain what the color yellow looks like? It's impossible. Well, it's the same thing about the house. You can't explain the house either. And if you can't explain what a banana tastes like, explain what a banana tastes like. It's impossible to put into words. Well, it's the same thing about the house. You can't describe the house either. And if we can't describe what a banana tastes like, that's a basic, simple thing. If we can't do that, how big is the house? How huge is the house? We can't explain. It's that understanding it. So there's no draw to go and look at the house which you can't see, because there's nothing there. There's nothing there that I'm going to swap what I've got for that I don't have, because I can't believe it can be that big, because you can't show me what the house looks like, so I'm not going to move. I'm happy here. This one here, I know this house. I understand how this works. Well, sort of. Anyway, it's a great analogy. I just made that up, by the way, that analogy about the house, but it's such a right principle. It's just crazy. It's how this world was created to have these two forms of existence in this world. One in your mind, one in your heart, and they're totally different. And it's not easy to go between the two of them unless you've been in your heart. You can go between the two of them, but if you haven't, you can't, because you don't know what the other one is.
So, Peter, do you know why some people have the inquiry to make the effort to get there and others don't? Is it a soul?
It's a soul thing.
Is it like young souls and old souls, or?
Yeah, well, I believe it is your soul, but it's the programming of your soul. The soul comes in with a program already set. It's like it's got a computer program already set what it's going to do, and what it has the skill to do, and has certain programs, and has the inquiry program running in it. So it'll always ask questions. And the people that Qigong, quite often I do course, I said, you to do Qigong, you have that inquiry program, otherwise you wouldn't be coming to do this, because you want to know, there's something else, and you're looking for it. And so you'll come and do this course. If you didn't have it, you'd go, oh, that's pretty, wave your arms. I don't know what that's all about. I'm not interested. I want to go down and earn more money, and so I can have my car and go fishing. It's a very, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of that. I just say it's different. I don't want to. There's no judgment on it. It's just it's two different pieces of life, and you can have both. It's the Jacob's ladder thing in the Bible, where the angels go to and fro from heaven, backwards and forwards from heaven to earth. Well, it's the same thing. It's like that. Heaven's your spiritual experience of this life, and your mind's the physical experience of this life. And you can go between the two of them. You can sit and meditate and be in this other place, or you can be sitting talking to your friends, eating food, talking about politics or the weather or whatever you want to do. But you can have that too, and you can have the other one. You can do both, because you can move seamlessly between the two of them, because you know you can. They both exist, and you know how to access both of them, because you know that the other one exists. I will have a little side piece on that, though. The more you understand the other one exists, the less you want to be in the one with the people. I'll just say that, because the people one's tough. It's hard. It's easy to sit in a cave for 25 years and meditate. Oh, there's the itches to stay connected. Yeah, that's fantastic. Come back and talk to your parents and see how you get on.
I actually, this morning,
you can stay talking to your parents. My God, difficult.
This morning I had the realization, I love the earth, but I struggle with humanity.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a very unique place. It's like, and I 100% agree that nature's still got its thing. The animals fight with each other too. But the humans, how this was created in this world where half the people want to kill each other and the other half want to make love to each other. It's just the weirdest construct of a program that has all these disparities in this program of all these different cultures and religions. They all don't necessarily get on with each other, and they're all fighting. And it's like, who invented this turmoil? It's just like chaos. It's just bizarre. And then there's other people just want freedom and love for each other, but they're not the majority. And so there's this weird thing in this planet. Just in New Zealand, this pulls it down from the macro to the micro, where the whole world's are fighting about their borders, about bloody Palestine and whatever is going on. And then you go right down to the micro, where you talk about in New Zealand the biggest the most amount of court cases in New Zealand on one subject by miles, like 80% of the court cases in New Zealand on one subject. 80%. I can't remember the exact figure because I'm careful not to quote that, but it was some ridiculously high figure. And it's on boundary disputes between neighbours. Neighbours
Really?
fighting each other about their fences and their trees hanging over the fences and the shade in the fence and cutting off, and their boundaries too far over. It should be a metre over the other way. And it's the biggest court cases about boundaries. It's the same thing in the world. They're fighting over the boundaries of countries. It's just the same thing. This is mine, this is yours. Or mental, literally mental. It's bizarre. In the spiritual world, there isn't any boundaries. How can you own something that's not yours? How can you own a piece of land that's not yours? It's owned by the earth. It's not yours to have. Who said you could own it? It's like saying you can own the air. You can't own the air either. And I know New Zealand one says the people in New Zealand wanted to own the water around New Zealand. I mean, how can you own something that's not yours? You can be the custodian of it to keep it from being destroyed, but I don't know about owning it. And I'm not sure that people wanted to own it. Maybe they just wanted to be the custodian. So I'll put that in as well, because I'm not saying they own it, but we're talking about people owning land and fighting over the neighbour next door for having a bit more land than theirs. Crazy. But just caught in the mind. Mind's idea of mine, yours and mine, yours and mine. Spiritual world is no mine and yours. It is whatever. It's part of everything. And we just exist inside this world in theory and harmony. In theory and harmony.